And I mean, it's the biggest launch system that NASA ever built.
Then they turned this feature off again, then they turned it on again, and then they turned Twitter Blue off completely.
500 drones light up the New York City sky to celebrate Candy Crush. Hi and welcome to episode 38 of Tech Review. Every week we gather to discuss the hottest topics in technology, innovation and social media. And on camera 3 today, there is Vincent. On camera 2, there is Henrique. I can't get used to pronounce you Henrique. And on camera 1, hi, this is me, I'm Tarek. Tech Review is a collaboration of Ideas Engineering, Free Tech Academy and Update.com. You can watch us live, not right now, but usually you can watch us live and record it on YouTube. But if you prefer to just listen to our wonderful voices while you're working out, driving a car or flying through space, you can find us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts and all major podcast platforms. So...
One of your best intros.
Ever.
Definitely.
The classic plotcast.
The plotcast platforms. Yeah. So before we go into the news and what happened this week, the most important question was, where have you been today? Oh, yeah, by the way, today we are recording on Wednesday, November 16th, and this is a very special day, and that's why I'm asking, where have you been today on this special day at 7 a.m. Central European time when Artemis was finally successfully launching?
In my living room with my Artemis mug in my head, which I don't have with me here right now, which is a big mistake. And in my full gear, watching and finger crossing live.
Vincent, where were you?
I was in bed. I had my phone with me. Watching.
You watched it on the phone?
It was still quite dark, and I mean, yes. What can I say? I did it. Yes, I did it on the phone. What do you want me to say?
At least you watched it.
Tarek, what did you do? Where were you
I was
when it happened?
Actually, literally here on my computer, and I wanted to get up very, very early. I did not manage to get very, very early out of bed, but at least I was punctual at 7 o'clock on my computer, and I was waiting. And then I heard that there were already delays, and they had some issues, and I was already like, oh, no, not again. It seems to be so hard to get this thing up into the air. But then at a certain point of time, I saw, they actually started the countdown, yeah, and this was so exciting. I was really sitting there, biting my nails, waiting if some other issues come up. And then they said, now it's the point of no return, and the battery needs to be recharged if they
recharged
stop now.
Other ways. Yes,
then,
I heard this. I was like, okay, this would be so weird now.
Yeah. No, but really, and then when it went into the sky, it was amazing. Before the show, we already talked about this, how amazing it looked and how incredible it must have felt standing actually there on a hill and watching this live and feeling the vibrations in your body. And I already almost felt it in my body only from seeing the lights, the rockets, the fire on the through the boosters. It was really magnificent. Yeah.
Totally. And just because you also mentioned like you were waking up and you read the messages, what's like you're not working. I had a deal with my friend Sean, who was like in Florida, and she knew that I would get up at like 6:30ish. So she sent me a status update at like 6:15. So telling me about what's currently going on, but that it's still looking good. And so I was like, okay, then I get up and make myself ready for it. So
I felt like it was the most weird thing to me was this is an unmanned capsule.
Yeah.
Because in my head, this is a human mission, right? This is one of the few missions where mankind actually sends people within this rocket to outer space and to the moon. So to me, we sent so many rockets without any person in it, right? But to me, it felt super weird to think, wow, this is unmanned, and still it's gonna go to moon orbit, collect data, come back, and everything. It's confusing.
Yeah.
There were actually some dummies in it, like 3. Yeah.
Okay, still
So
not human.
I don't know
but
if the random generator will pick my article, but if
let's
so,
try it.
Yeah.
this is just one of the facts that it's mentioned in there. Yeah.
Sorry for spoiling this.
No, but this is maybe a very good transition to let's go to the first article and maybe let's ignore the random generator since we are a very small round today. Henrike, why don't you start with the
No
Verge?
way! Oh my god, I'm not prepared at all. No kidding. So I obviously brought an article dealing with the Artemis launch today from The Verge for everyone who's just listening to us. And yeah, basically 3 times is a charm. Today was the day that Artemis 1 finally took off with a massive delay. Because, I mean, for everyone who hasn't heard about Artemis 1 or is not familiar with this whole project, the original launch of Artemis 1 was planned for 2017, actually, which is like 5 years ago. And it's not just timely delayed, it's also over budget since the beginning. So it wasn't really looking good the whole time. And this was now also the 3rd launch attempt for this year alone. The first 2 being scrubbed in August and September due to engine failure and hydrogen leak. And today was also a hydrogen incident that at least could be fixed. And that I found really crazy because, I mean, these technicians, first of all, where have they been last time? Like the called Red Team? Where did they pop up all of a sudden? But they went to the launch pad while the whole rocket was already fully fueled. Which is like, I mean, you go there and you have this massive, and I mean, it's the biggest launch system that NASA ever built. It's fully, fueled, as I said. And you just go there and continue working on that and fixing like a problem, which is like,
as you said, it's the red shirt team.
Yeah. I mean, wow.
Expendables.
So they say they did that this time, thankfully. And afterwards, there was this Ethernet switch incident which needed to change and which also took like an hour. But then finally it took off and it will be now orbiting the moon for a couple of days before returning back to Earth on December 11th. And as we already said, it's uncrewed, but there are actually 3 dummies that will, also do some measurements and like collect some data on radiation, etc. Sorry?
Pretty good dummies doing all the measurement.
Yeah, pretty smart dummies.
Pretty alive dummies.
Maybe it's an AI. It's kind of alive.
Sorry, I didn't want to interrupt.
But like, no, it's all good. Like the good one. Yeah, the next one will be crewed then, which will hopefully take off in 2024. But also just orbiting the moon. And then in 2025, the first, crew will be on board and actually land on the moon. Yeah. And it's pretty amazing. As Tarek, as you said, it's like, even though if you haven't been there and just watched it from the screen, it was really like breathtaking. And I was like stopping everything and was really excited that it took off because it's such a huge, massive rocket. And it's like the kickoff into like a new era of human exploration. Yeah. So pretty
and
dope.
I think the astronauts who are going to fly to the moon or like around the moon with Artemis 2, they will probably very appreciate that all this effort and costs are taken to first send dummies to take all the measurements and have this test flight before actually people are sitting on this massive rocket next time it will launch. And when I think about SpaceX and the plans of sending their spaceship to Mars and build the Mars colony, I can't imagine that they are going to have like this kind of test flights. I could imagine the first flight to Mars by SpaceX will be manned. They will take on like very fast.
But I mean, Tarek, SpaceX has a totally different situation, right? I mean, I don't know the name. Henrike, please help me out here. Of their potential space rocket, Mars rocket.
The BFR, the big fucking rocket.
Yeah, the BFR is being tested right now. So I think that SpaceX is a totally different situation, because this needs to happen, because this kind of rocket. I mean, we heard during the launch that the booster system actually is from the space shuttle, but these kind of things are very new. While Jesus, I'm so done today. SpaceX is testing all of it. Yeah, we're gonna get to that in a minute. But they're testing their rockets ongoingly. So I think that it's a totally different situation for them, right?
Yeah, but I mean, it's not that NASA is not testing their rockets. The thing is that it's unpredictable what will happen in reality. I mean, even with all the accidents that happens every time, I'm thinking like, oh, there's a defect on an Ethernet switch, and you could imagine.
Ridiculous.
This was probably tested a million times before, but then it's there on the launch pad, and suddenly someone says, "Yeah, by the way, this Ethernet thing does not work." What happens? Yeah, and I can't imagine how all these things are failing after being tested like a million times. And so I think the basic assumption is every time there will be failing something, and the more real tests you do, the higher the probability is that you can catch these failures in time. Yeah, and so I think it's a very good thing to have this unmanned flight with this rocket and this with a real like mission time, with a real destination, with a real length of flying there. But with the Mars mission, I can't imagine that they send the Starship to Mars unmanned and let it come back just to see how it performs over time.
Yeah, I mean, because I don't know, that will be interesting. Probably there are people there willing to do that, take the risk and go on this big fucking rocket for the first time, for the first flight there. But and all of these projects are super expensive.
Yeah.
I mean, all of them cost shitloads of money. And but still comparing the lunar missions to the Mars mission, which takes much longer. It's like the time there that it takes to go there in the first place. All of that combined, I'm with you. I could imagine that they're like, okay, we have to try it on the first attempt with people to make this,
also
to be also as more cost conscious as.
Isn't Mars, possible. Don't we have this very specific issue of there being a window to send something to Mars and back? So let's say we send a rocket to Mars, it's around a 6-month journey when I'm not completely wrong, maybe 8 months, something like this. Okay, forth and back, it's 2 years, whatever. So let's say 2 years just because they're in orbit and everything. Okay, but then there is this window only coming up every few years, when I'm not mistaken, where we can launch something to Mars. So we would actually need to wait potentially even longer in order to test something, because we would need to wait until the right window.
Right.
Yeah.
Time is tight.
To not miss it then in the end and go beyond.
And then wait 3 more years because we don't have the resources to send something right away out of the launch window.
So for this project, you probably have to raise a lot of money by selling verification check marks, for example.
Wow.
And now it all makes sense.
Time is tight is the motto today, I think, for Tarek. Yeah.
I just read today, do we have a Twitter article coming up today?
I think so.
Oh, okay, believe me, we have.
Because there's been news today, so that's why. But then I just keep quiet until later.
No, but this is a good question. Are we doing 2 or 1 article today? Because I submitted 2, like a good tech review co-host, but I'm not sure how many we're doing.
Probably
1.
Yeah, time is tight, so 1.
Just half.
So is it going to be Twitter?
We need to discuss. Now let's look what the random generator says.
Let's
check. Then I have an issue for it.
If our tech review is valuable for you, please give us feedback with a like or a comment. That would help us tremendously, and it wouldn't cost you anything. And if you don't want to miss the next episode, just click on the subscribe button. And now, back to the news.
And now, this.
What a coincidence. It's Twitter.
No, but this is the issue. So since we have it open, let's do that one. And I don't know, we're going to talk about the other thing, it's not that big. We're going to talk about it after this show. I need to release
Sorry,
some steam.
just for subscribers.
And we're going to talk about that on our Twitter Blue account.
Exactly.
Yeah.
On the TechReview Blue account.
Yeah. So it's very interesting because this article is like a summary of Twitter Blue so far. We can see that there, Henrike, you and I spoke about this morning, right? That Twitter Blue is coming back. Elon tweeted that it is actually coming back to Twitter. And they had some ups and downs, as we all know, right? Twitter Blue having a few benefits, but the biggest one obviously being the verification mark. And then they saw a lot of impersonations. They saw issues with being verified and not being verified. And the Twitter staff raised those issues just like everybody else before that being launched. So it is definitely a decision that Elon Musk took more or less single-handedly without anybody backing him. And then they blocked every Twitter Blue user from changing their account names. They have two different types of verification they enabled. So when you click on the Twitter Blue on the verification mark, you can either see this is verified because this is a person of public interest, or it's a person because they're just verified because they subscribe to Twitter Blue. Then they turned this feature off again, then they turned it on again, and then they turned Twitter Blue off completely. But the whole question is, and we discussed this yesterday, why? Why would Elon do that? And it's very interesting because this article about Twitter actually shows that Twitter Blue definitely had more users than Twitter Blue before. So the last version of Twitter Blue before Elon Musk had around 100k subscribers. Now this new version has around 140k subscribers, but we can still see that actually they need much more subscribers in order to actually make a benefit out of it, or an added value. This is the better case. So we see that it doesn't matter what happens. This will not deliver upon what they need. And I think that is very interesting to note, that even if it doesn't matter what that feature looks like, if the verification steps are too high, right? If you're being verified maybe via ID, and then there's a managing team that looks into should we actually verify you or not, then we're back at the old system, right? More or less, but with payment. And the other way around, we see that it is just not paying off as much as they thought so. So this is extremely interesting. We will see how this continues. We will see what happens. I think on the 7th of December, we will see Twitter Blue coming back if anybody wants to subscribe there. But very interesting.
In addition to that, maybe what I read in the New York Times today is that Elon Musk also sent out an email to all employees telling them they have the choice until Thursday. So in 2 days, tomorrow, right?
Tomorrow.
Yeah, I'm so confused. To decide whether or not they want to stay with Twitter or if they want to leave. If they stay, that will mean a lot of extra hours and a lot of work. And the focus will be on engineering and not on product management and design. So times will be getting tough at Twitter. And
for sure.
Also in comparison to that, kind of interesting to see how they can improve the product, improve the algorithm, improve, everything in the back to hopefully kind of get back on track. Yeah. And get rid of people who are not in line with his vision and his way of working.
Yeah. I could really imagine that they have a very hard time to keep their employees, because if I imagine that I'm a developer at Twitter right now and half of the staff is fired and I'm one of the lucky ones who is allowed to stay, and then my CEO comes and says, yeah, by the way, starting tomorrow, you have to do the work for 2 because for some reason half of the staff is missing. Congratulations. I think I would think about if there is another job that is maybe more attractive than this shit show that it's happy for some reason.
Plus, look at the article, right? I mean, we discussed yesterday, advertisers are going off the platform, right? Now you see this. When you scroll down in the article, you will see that they, to actually make a dent, they would need around 20-something million people to actually subscribe to Twitter Blue, and a high number, like more people than live in Liechtenstein or something. No, but I mean, think of this, right? Around the it's ridiculous. And you see all of this, and then you're being asked to do overhours, even though your CEO says, and it's very likely, I mean, we don't know what stunts Elon Musk can pull off, but it's very likely that this company will be bankrupt. And so you put in the overhours just to maybe be fired a few months later
on.
Right.
Yes, and
Burned
all of the people around you already have a new job. So potentially also you will not find the dream job that you maybe could get right now. I'm not saying Meta would be a good place right now, but,
Or Amazon.
But how about Mastodon? What's this called? Like the other platform, the
Mastodon
competitor now? Mastodon, right?
It's so crazy. And I don't know. Like, I mean, I would probably stay because I'm too loyal to companies, but still, I would. It's crazy.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't know if Elon Musk is thinking about some kind of extra compensation, because it would be great to be loyal to your company, but to actually make this challenge interesting, I think he must pull some sort of incentive out of the hat, like bonus
But how?
payments.
Where is the money coming from? Where would that come from?
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe
Tarek, tell us now, please. Where's the money coming
verification check
from?
marks. He just sold
I mean,
a
at
lot
the
of
same
verification check
time,
marks.
at the same time, seeing that Meta, Snap, all the other Amazon, they're all firing a lot of people right now. The other side is like, okay, right now I'm still having a job. I still get like my monthly paycheck. I can still pay my rent and feed my family. So maybe I stay, I pull in the extra hours, and I'm, willing to do all that because I still have a job. Because it's also not so easy finding a job then at the other big popular tech companies, because they're just firing people themselves.
It's true. Usually you would say engineering jobs in Silicon Valley are easy to get for engineers. Yeah. So this is usually not a problem. But right now it is true. We see in this economic crisis that even IT in Silicon Valley has some problems. And I still think that it's not impossible if you come from Twitter or Facebook or Amazon to find a new job. But I don't think it's as easy as it was like 1 year ago. Yeah, absolutely.
And now, this.
So since we are in our new compact format, let's jump to the next article, which comes from The Guardian. And The Guardian writes, there is backlash after 500 drones light up the New York City sky to celebrate Candy Crush. I thought I'd bring something new, lighthearted with me today. Yeah, and these 500 lighted drones were flown in a synchronized show against the Manhattan skyline. I can show it here. To mark 10 years of the wildly popular cell phone game Candy Crush. Yeah, the display was flown over land. From the neighboring New Jersey, where they were able to fly this, so that they don't violate the New York City airspace. And a local Democratic state senator said this was outrageous, to spoil the city's famous skyline for private profit, because it's like Candy Crush advertising, basically. Yeah. And if you're listening right now, we are showing on the screen the image of drones painting basically or forming the advertising for Candy Crush in the sky, and it looks quite cool, right? But it is an advertising in the sky.
Duh.
I personally think this headline is very important because so far this is something that we only know from Hollywood, from sci-fi movies where people have like these automated drones and they paint pictures or something. And now it starts that these drones become mainstream. And we see these amazing videos on YouTube and everywhere where we have these drone formations and they fly and they do amazing things. And so far it's art. It's really beautiful. But the moment it becomes like mainstream, it will be commercialized. Yeah. And so I could imagine that this is now a new business model. And after Candy Crush set a new standard, I don't know, maybe next week they will have another advertising contract with another company. Then we will see, I don't know, like Amazon Black Friday advertising in the sky. And then they will have like hourly slots which you can book through the whole night, and suddenly the night sky becomes the world's biggest advertising landscape, right? And so this is actually a question that needs to be answered by, I don't know, by probably the politicians who gave out these permits. If there is something like a permit for using the night sky as advertising area. But
there is one for sure.
It will become a topic, right? And yeah, I'm very curious to see how this develops over time, if this is going to be like a no-go, that people will start to forbid this very, very quickly, or if this will be actually a thing where they're very profitable, because I could imagine that they were willing to give out these permits for a lot of money. So every budget is tight. But from own experience, I know that as a private drone pilot, it is oftentimes very hard to find spaces where it's actually allowed to fly a drone. And so a project like that, it's probably high stakes, and you need a lot of permits for that. What are you thinking?
Definitely. Yeah, you definitely need a lot of permission, and it would take a lot of money just to fly them there for a few minutes, because no other aircraft who's normally allowed to go through this airspace can go through there. So just fun fact, I never played Candy Crush. Did you guys actually play it in those past 10 years? I never did it once.
I also didn't play it, but I know that it is extremely popular, and whenever someone searches for an arbitrary smartphone game that a lot of people are playing, they usually say, it's like Candy Crush. So I think it's one of the most popular smartphone games.
I mean, I also know about it, but I just never happened to play it.
It's a pre-installed game. I think that is one of the core. I mean, remember that Windows 10 debacle, right? Hey, Candy Crush actually is pre-installed on Windows 10.
Oh, really? It is?
There is a shortcut, and then you need to load some additional material and everything. But it is by contract. So if you install a brand new version of Windows 10, right, like fresh out of the box, I'm not saying like you don't buy a computer. I mean, remember the 2010s when we had McAfee on our Acer computers, and everyone was asking themselves why? Yes, no, but so Candy Crush actually is by default as a shortcut pre-installed on Windows 10.
Yeah, crazy how some companies are buying into smartphone companies to be pre-installed on their devices.
Right. Also, news apps, right? Pre-installed. What is this?
Can't imagine.
Can't imagine anyone doing that.
No, but I wanted to talk about something else, actually. I wanted to say, I think also it looks quite nice, right? And if we talk about the implications in the future, I can see the point that this might be something we don't want to see at all times. Then again, this very specific moment, right? The very specific example, I don't think, I can't imagine this being a big issue, because I mean, we all know the drones, state of the art drones, especially the state of the art drones you can buy like in a pack of 500 or rent in a pack of 500. What is the battery capacity of this? It's not an hour. It's I don't know, it's something between 20 minutes and 40 minutes maybe, even if. And I would argue an advertisement for that amount of time is not something that harms a lot of people by being in the sky. If it then makes a loud noise, I mean, we all know how loud actually a drone can be. That, not the military ones though. This might be something. No, but just the visibility, I don't think that's a big harm. But then again, Tarek, you're absolutely right. This leads to a question of what's the legislation behind it. That is a much more crucial topic. Because this is fun.
It's not harming the people, but like the birds. It's threatened the birds.
This drone strike.
I just read it there. It also threatened birds.
this drone
I'm not deep enough in the topic. Yes.
No, but
you said something. Must be. Yeah, sorry. No, you go ahead.
No, I was thinking like for special occasions. I mean, I could imagine as we see it with fireworks. Fireworks are permitted for New Year's and 4th of July in the US, for example. And I could imagine having something like this as a very extravagant light show in the air for special occasions, no problem. But the topic here is that it is commercialized. So a private company is renting the airspace to do some advertising. So this is not a special occasion. This is simply advertising space. And I think this is the big question. I don't think anyone has a problem if for New Year's, instead of fireworks, we have a drone show. It might even be more sustainable, right? Could be even a better solution than fireworks. But having this 24/7 out for rent for the reasons of profitability, I think this is something that is maybe distasteful and doing more harm than good. And if it's only done for profit, then I don't think that people will like it. Yeah.
It's also, I mean, we can always challenge things by, is it visible in Blade Runner? And if it's visible in Blade Runner, it's probably not that good for us.
We call it the Blade Runner threshold.
Yes, so we see this, and I think we can all agree, doesn't look like something we would want.
This is nice. We should invent this for Tech Review. So if we have some tech news, we will introduce something like the Blade Runner test. So will this new invention pass the Blade Runner test? Yeah? Verified by TechReview.
No, I mean, imagine this being a Wallace advertisement, huh? I mean, this would change the whole thing, right? Oh, this would be actually a great prank. Imagine somebody booking this to display a Wallace advertisement or something like that. This would definitely give like a bad feeling, give off a bad vibe.
If I were a billionaire, I would make a fake advertising for Cyberdyne Systems or something.
Yes. Yeah, or something like UAC from Doom or something. And you're like, what the hell? Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's already our time, 30 minutes. Thank you so much for this, I would almost say, special episode of Tech Review. I like this shorter format, and this means we see you back in 1 week. See you then. Have a nice night. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.